5. Explanation for PR1 Part 3, Big Integer. In this one, I want to explain the basic idea and basic operations for Java Big Integer class. Yeah. Here you can see the main problem we want to solve. Here, all right, overflow problem. So you can see, if you do not use some advanced data structure, it is very hard to solve this problem. So we rely on some advanced data structure. Okay, so here, that's the big integer. All right, the idea is pretty simple. Okay, the idea behind Java Big Integer class: use a string to represent unlimited number of digits. For a big integer. Okay, yeah. So you never need to worry about overflow problem if you use that big integer data structure. Yeah, so really good. All right, so next, I want to talk about the example I will give you. I will show you a demo quickly. Yeah. In my example, I do some special task. I want to do some special task. The task is find the integer part of a square root. Square root of a big integer. Yeah. So we start with a big integer. So in my example, I use random generator. So random method in Java. So we can generate random digits. Then I create a 100-digit big integer. 100 digit. That's pretty big, right? Yeah. 100-digit big integer. Okay. Then I want to calculate the square root of this big integer. Square root. But I do not use the square root method. So there is no integer existing square root method because you need to use double. Yeah, I mean, so we do not calculate the non-integer square root. So here, the way I use, I find a number, I find still a big integer. Its square is closest to that number. Square closest to number. Okay, all right. So for example, so let me give you, suppose this 100 digit, that's n. Okay, that's n. Then I want to find that square root. Integers root. Integer part of the square root. So drop the fractional part. Only we keep the integer part, right? So suppose that is a. So we know a squared should be less than or equal to n, right? Yep. A squared, yeah, because we drop some possible fractional part. So a squared less than or equal to n. But n less than a plus 1 squared. Okay? So then we find that a. Yeah. In this example, I use the binary search idea. Okay? So binary search idea. You know the binary search, right? Yeah. So if you look at my code, if you try to understand, so I modify the binary search method. Okay? Yeah. So then I do comparison, finally I get to this number, A. All right. Yeah. After my explanation, I will show you, I run that example. And I post the code so you can play around my code. Try to understand how to use Java BigInteger. Okay, all right. Next, I want to talk about a little bit about basic operations for BigInteger. We need to construct a BigInteger object. Here, this line, we construct BigInteger object. But you can see we use a string to double quotes. Okay, a string passed to the constructor. Yeah, we know. Yeah, internal representation using string to represent long digits. Okay, yeah. Here, so we start with the initial, then we can do operations. Yeah. Then here I show you when we need to print the result of BigInteger. So this line, this method I create in my example, generate 100-digit BigInteger. Okay, generate BigInteger with number of digits 100. Yeah, use random method in Java math package. So you can see pretty easy in my example. Yeah. After that, so we have some BigInteger object. Now, when we want to print out that particular number on the screen, here, string plus concatenation, you just put that BigInteger object there directly. So the Java will do the conversion for you. You do not need to do the conversion by yourself. Okay, just print there as a string. You treat it as the output result will be a string. Yeah, you just print it. Okay. All right, so that's one thing. Next, basic operation. When you need to do addition, we do not use the usual plus sign. Yeah, do not use that usual plus sign. Okay, here because we have an object. Okay, each variable is a BigInteger object. Okay, so you have an object, then you call its method add method dot add, then another integer. Okay, yeah. So this is something similar to the first object, but something like you use the plus sign, but you cannot use that plus sign directly. Okay, yeah. But you call the add method. Similarly, for other basic methods, you do the same way. For example, subtract between two big integers, you call subtract method. Multiply, you call multiply method. Okay, yeah. Two big integer operands, then you apply multiply operation on those two operands to get a result, big integer number. Yeah. The last one, divide, integer divide. So when you do division, but result is still integer, okay? You can see the fractional part will be dropped, truncated automatically. Yeah. So integer division. Yeah. So that's the basic operations. In my example, that's enough for us. Yeah. But in our current project, we only use two methods. Addition, add method, and multiply. That's enough. And add and multiply, because we just do matrix multiplications, right? So in my next video, I talk about that, matrix multiplication. Okay. Then we only need to use these two basic operations. Yeah. Pretty straightforward. Yeah. All right, so next, let me just run my example, to show you the result quickly. Yeah. I will give you big integer operations. So let me run it. Yeah, so you see the result. Okay. Original number, remember, I use random generator to create a 100-digit big integer. Random. So every time you get different number. All right. It's square root estimate. Square root estimate. Yeah. Truncate the fractional part. Okay. All right. Difference from above. Yeah. Because when you take square, it will not be exactly the original number. So there I take the difference using the original number minus square of this number. So from above, yeah. And the difference from below, yeah. Above, below. Yeah. Yeah, actually from above is this. A plus 1 square minus original number. That's the difference from above. So original number minus a square, that's from below. Okay, yeah. So I calculate those two numbers. You can see the difference part still quite big. Both from above, from below, very big. Yeah. Anyway, I just use this simple example to show you the basic operations of big integer. Okay. After you download it, so you can play around, study, get familiar with the basic operations, then you can write your own operations. All right, so